Chapter 52, The Emperor's Final Decision. On the bridge of the dreadnought Star Devourer, the silence was denser than the darkness of space itself. The mighty Gamma 7 fleet had halted, not due to an expected tactical order, but because of the raw, undeniable logic of the terrestrial threat. Emperor XYLR and General THRAC reviewed the calculations again and again. The risk of catastrophic loss in a frontal assault against an enemy capable of replicating their dissonance anomaly was, at this point, strategically unacceptable. The Galactic Council's initial information simply hadn't accounted for this level of terrestrial readiness. Entity 347 Gamma has drastically accelerated its counterweapon manufacturing capacity, THRAC murmured, his monotone voice barely breaking the stillness. The data suggests that the scale of their active dissonance has increased to a point where a direct confrontation would now result in an unacceptable casualty rate for the hegemony, with no total guarantee of purification. Frankly, I do not believe we can win. Grand Emperor XYLR remained motionless. The initial humiliation had been an unpleasant surprise. This, a forced retreat imposed by a species they considered primitive, was a direct affront to the hegemony's infallibility. The Star Devourer, the spearhead of their power, was immobilized. The word fear would never be uttered on the bridge, but their inaction was its tactical equivalent. The Emperor broke the long silence, his voice vibrating with a restrained frustration he rarely displayed. Entity 347 Gamma has demonstrated a capability that the Supreme Being Valerius, in his infinite wisdom, appears to have severely underestimated. Our retreat, necessary as it is, reflects a strategic flaw at a level we cannot ignore. We were not sent for purification. We were sent into a trap. A humiliation. The chief scientist nodded in the gloom. The data is unequivocal. The casualty rates would be unacceptable. Valerius has asked us to sacrifice our army for an objective that now appears untenable. To continue this path is to follow an order that leads to annihilation. Loyalty cannot survive extinction. Grand Emperor XYLR inquired, and yet, the hegemony's doctrine demands absolute obedience. The fleet, our people, they expect us to continue. How do we justify such a fundamental deviation from the mission? THRAC responded with cold certainty. By presenting the truth. We have shared the active dissonance calculations with the fleet commanders. They are not blind. They can see that continuing is suicide. A soldier's loyalty is based on honor, not blindness. If we show that the order leads to the dishonor of a meaningless death, the soldiers will follow us. The true threat of total purification is not from Earth. It is from Valerius. Grand Emperor XYLR cautioned, there are other obstacles, however, and they are the ones I worry about most. The balance of power in the Supreme Council is delicate, tied to the loyalty of its pillars. We cannot move without considering the other two emperors, Caprax and Archon. They will turn against us. THRAC explained, Caprax is a traditionalist. His loyalty to Valerius is not simple obedience, it is blind faith. He sees every order from the Supreme Being as a test of his fortitude. If we confront him, he will consider us heretics, a stain to be purified. His fleet is the most numerous, and although less agile than ours, it is composed of fanatical warriors who would die for Valerius without hesitation. Archon, on the other hand, is more pragmatic. His loyalty is a double-edged sword. If he sees an opportunity for power, he might be persuaded, but only by an overwhelming display of force. He would consider us a threat to his own ambition, not Valerius. Grand Emperor XYLR concluded, then, a direct confrontation with them is not feasible. We would face a three-front conflict, Caprax's fleet, Archon's, and Valerius's defenses. We would annihilate ourselves before we even saw the gates of his fortress. We cannot fight them, we must outmaneuver them. Precisely, THRAC replied. The distance to their fleets is a crucial factor. Caprax is currently a month's journey from our current position. Archon, for his part, is almost 3 weeks away. If our action is fast and decisive enough, We could neutralize Valerius's power before his armies can react. Once the Supreme Being falls, the other two emperors will be forced to listen. They will not rebel against a total power vacuum, they will submit to the new order, or they will be left leaderless. Grand Emperor HFY mused, there is an inherent risk in attacking Valerius's power base. His defenses are powerful, his security networks impenetrable. Could we do it alone? With our fleet already weakened by this forced inaction, is a direct incursion even possible? The probabilities are low, HFY admitted. But there is one variable we have not factored into our equation. The new Galactic Council. They have a considerable military force, although they lack our absorption technology. They have shown themselves capable of coordination that the old council could only dream of. They could be a valuable asset, or a deadly danger. Grand Emperor HFY hesitated, an asset? You speak of an alliance with entities that are not part of the hegemony. It is a monumental risk, HFY. But their military power would serve us. Do you believe they would support us in a conflict within our own faction? HFY argued, they see a strength in us. The fact that we have stopped without even crossing the solar system has shown them that we are not an immediate danger. And the fact that we, too, are questioning Valerius might be the key to a negotiation. They could see us as an opportunity to gain influence over the galaxy. The proposal would be simple, they are either on one side or the other, there is no middle ground. If they turn against us, we use our absorption technology and destroy them, and if they are in favor, there would be no turning back to betray us, as they would be the enemies of Valerius. They would have no choice but to see this problem through. A coordinated attack could weaken Valerius's defenses and the Elders' power in a way they would never expect. Grand Emperor HFY finalized, ambition and betrayal shining in his eyes, interesting. A betrayal at the heart of our hegemony. Using outsiders to overthrow our leader. It is not the path of glory, but it might be the only path to victory. Continue with the calculations, HFY. Map the distance of the Caprax and Archon fleets. And, in a strictly encrypted manner, begin to probe the new Galactic Council. We need to know where they stand. Location, diplomatic nexus of the new Galactic Council. Time, hours after the arrangement with Kalen. They have stopped at a very distant range from Earth, and they have been there for some time now. They don't want to get closer, but they also can't return to their world. Imagine disobeying the order of their superiors, the KRTAC. They won't move. Lockster, despite his relief, felt a pang of something bordering on panic. Earth had exposed a fundamental weakness in the KRTAC that the Council itself had never even imagined. But that victory came at a huge price. This is a demonstration of weakness for the hegemony, his voice flatter than ever. They, the invincible ones, aren't moving. But what's worse, Solari interrupted, is that this affects us. We have been selling the KRTAC as the invincible force, the only one we must surrender to or ally with. We overthrew the old council promising alignment with them. What will they say now? What will the KRTAC think of us? We still have a long way to go before we have the terrestrial weaponry. Kalen is currently busy procuring the raw materials. We must be vigilant in case they cross the solar system. At some point, they will have to, and if that happens, and he coincidentally goes to Earth for the delivery, they could detect him. It's not easy to communicate and make movements without being seen, especially now that the KRTAC are close to the solar system. The new council conspiracy was built on the premise of KRTAC invincibility, using their power as leverage to impose themselves and then negotiate for survival. Earth's unexpected victory had undermined that premise. Now, the KRTAC might see the new council as ineffective, unable to control such a nearby anomaly. The message is clear, Earth can stop them, Nailth said, his voice strained. But it is also a message that we could not control them. The credibility of our purification in the eyes of the KRTAC has been damaged. And the rest of the galaxy now sees Earth as the only real hope, not us. The terrestrials will be our allies, Solari replied, but we are the ones pulling the strings. Chapter 53, The Hegemony's Offer. Location, Diplomatic Nexus of the New Galactic Council. Lockster, Solari, and Naelth gathered around the holographic projection platform. The words floated in the air, Grand Emperor XYLAR requests an audience. Naelth felt a deep sense of unease. It's not a direct threat, but why? Why would they contact us this way? Lockster's expression reflected distrust. It's a trap. They've seen our lack of control over the terrestrial anomaly and now consider us a problem to be eradicated, but they want to do it discreetly to avoid further embarrassment. They'll use us to make an example. Solari interjected, it makes no sense. If they wanted to eliminate us, they would have more problems than they already have. Their fleet is stationed, but it still has immense offensive capability. This message is a deviation. One we didn't anticipate. I insist, he doesn't want to attack the terrestrials out of fear. Perhaps he's asking us to help him militarily in a campaign. If so, we will reject it. That is not an option. We are not going to make the old council's mistake of betraying one of our own. He leaned toward the projection. Let's accept the communication. Ignorance is our greatest enemy now. Lockster nodded, making a decision. Agreed. But let's maintain caution. If what Naelth says is true, one wrong move could mean the end of the new council. Activate it. Space warped and filled with interference as a connection was established. Suddenly, the imposing figure of Grand Emperor XYLAR materialized in the center of the audience chamber, his presence a mass of shadow and power. Beside him, the forms of General Th-Rak, Admiral Vale, and the chief scientist remained motionless, observing the members of the new council with a gaze that was both analytical and contemptuous. Grand Emperor XYLAR was the first to break the silence, his grave voice resonating with an authority that left no room for doubt. Entities of the self-proclaimed new council. We have halted our advance. The data from Entity 347 Gamma has proven that the mission is unviable and the information provided to us was incomplete, nearly flawed. There is a strategic error at the heart of this campaign. And that error is Valerius. He allowed the Elder Primus to influence him to attack again out of pride, without backup or reinforcements, without even waiting to analyze the situation. The audacity of the declaration was so immense that for a moment they didn't know how to react. Lockster recovered first. Emperor XYLAR, the infallibility of your supreme being is the foundation of your hegemony. Your words are treason. It is not treason, it is survival, Th-Rak intervened, his voice dispassionate and precise as a scalpel. Valerius has sent us to certain death. A direct confrontation with Entity 347 Gamma would result in the annihilation of the Gamma-7 fleet. Valerius has demonstrated an inability to foresee threats, and a careless willingness to sacrifice his own out of humiliation, but what's worse, it wasn't even his decision, he simply allowed Elder Primus to decide. His leadership has become a threat to us, the hegemony, and to you. Solari scoffed in disbelief. We are part of the problem. And you are calling us to join you? This is absurd. XYLAR tilted his head, a gesture that seemed calculated. We are not joining you. We are proposing an alliance of convenience. Your fleet has military power, tactics that are effective. My soldiers trust your strength, but not your leadership. They are not blind, they see the truth that Valerius was mistaken. Our agreement is simple, you will help us eliminate Valerius and the rest of the elders who support him. In the process, the defenses of our planet will fall, allowing us to seize power. In exchange, you will be granted a position of power in the new galaxy that will emerge once we have triumphed. Solari, staring fixedly at the Emperor, asked, and what about Caprax and Aarchon? Their fleets are loyal to Valerius. Do you expect us to join a three-front conflict? They will not have time to react, Th-Rak replied. Their military power is far from our world. If we act quickly and with coordination, we will strike before they can organize. Once the Supreme Being falls, the chains of command will break. Caprax and AR Khan will be left leaderless, and then they will have to decide whether they prefer to die or join the new order. Silence returned to the council bridge. The proposal was scandalous, risky, almost suicidal. But the alternative, annihilation at the hands of Valerius once he realized his mission had failed, was even worse. HFY's offer gave them a third option, one unthinkable until a moment ago, taking control of their own destiny. Lockster looked at Solari and Nailth. We need to discuss this for a moment. Speak, but there is no more time. You are either on one side or the other. HFY cut the communication. Lockster and Nailth looked at Solari. Lockster, what do we do? It's too risky. Solari, sooner or later, this was going to happen. I want to take advantage of this situation. If Caprax and AR Khan are far away, it's because Valerius doesn't consider the idea of HFY going against him in the slightest. A coup d'état is not in the mentality of their hegemony. This means their defenses will not be sufficiently prepared if we attack quickly. By the time they realize that troops are heading to their capital, their defenses will be disorganized and panicked. I consider this an opportunity. Let's use all our military might and take advantage so they kill each other. I want to see the faces of Valerius and those elders when this happens. Solari requested communication with Emperor HFY. Emperor HFY, your proposal is unprecedented. We agree to consider your offer, but with conditions. We cannot risk the existence of our fleets in a hegemony betrayal without guarantees. HFY agreed. Our troops are ready. Prepare your army to accompany us.